This is the JG Skorpion VZ61, and this is my new Airsoft sniper sidearm. But before we get into that, let's have a closer look at this machine pistol. The construction is mostly polymer with a few bits and bobs made of metal, and compared to the ASG Skorpion I had many moons ago, this feels a lot more solid and a lot more robust. And according to the scales, this weighs 1.1 kilograms, which is 2.4 pounds, so it's a very, very lightweight gun. And according to the tape measure, with the stock folded, this gun is just over 26 centimeters long, which is just over 10 inches, and with the stock unfolded, it goes out to 52 centimeters, which is roughly over 20 inches. And if we compare it to my gas blowback 1911A1, you can see it's more or less the same size. Of course, the 1911 doesn't have a magazine on the front of it, but considering that the Skorpion's going to be replacing the 1911 as my sniper secondary, it's the perfect size. And if we compare the Skorpion to a more comparable weapon system like my Sidearm MP5, as you can see, it's nearly half the size of the MP5. Starting at the muzzle end of the gun, we have a removable outer barrel. It has a reverse thread, and if you remove this, you can then install the suppressor adapter which comes with the gun. And there we are, we now have a suppressor on it. The Skorpion also comes with a small Picatinny rail which mounts on the front like so, and you merely screw a little screw through here into a threaded hole on the bottom of the receiver. However, I'm not going to be using this rail system for now because there's nothing I want on the front end of this gun, because I want it quite a low profile, low snag gun. I don't need a foregrip on it. On the left hand side of the gun, we have a non-ambidextrous button style magazine release. You have a conventional curved style trigger, as in the best style, don't know why you'd want a straight one, and your selector switch is up here, again non-ambidextrous, located on the left side of the receiver. Push it to the front, you have full auto, in the middle you have safe, and at the back you have semi-automatic. The pistol grip on the Skorpion is very comfortable. You have these sort of dividers, and they work really well. I find it very comfortable. And speaking of the grip, we also have the battery compartment inside the grip, and to access it you turn this little latch here, and the base plate falls off like so. And the stock battery is a 7.2 volt 700 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride battery, and you want to install the battery into the grip with the arrow pointing towards the front of the gun, like so. And the same thing with the base plate, you have an arrow to point forwards. And there we go. The iron sights on the Skorpion are basic front post rear notch sights, and you can adjust the rear notch, although I'm not exactly sure you're going to be using these sights because it's a machine pistol. It's for close range anyway. To release the stock, you push up on the front end like so, and then you swing it around and it locks in place. It's quite a small stock, but I quite like it, and it allows you to use this weapon at longer ranges. It gives you a more stable firing platform. To fold the stock in, you want to squeeze it in like so, which disengages the latch, and then it locks over the front sights. The stock JG magazine is a 80 round high cap. You have a little trapdoor to load it up the top here, and a wheel on the bottom, typical of a high cap. And from the testing I've done, this magazine works perfectly fine, no feeding issues, absolutely perfect. And to access your hop unit, you pull back the ambidextrous charging handle, which exposes the ejection port, and as you can see, you have a hop unit in there with a little wheel to adjust it. To chrono this gun, we have some .25s. And we'll give it a go on full auto. And according to the Chronograph, we couldn't get a fire rate reading for whatever reason. However, we're getting around about 200 FPS on a .25, which is going to be around 235, maybe 240 on a .2. So it's an AEP, that's what you sort of expect for an AEP, not much cylinder volume. And for close ranges, that's perfectly usable. Now, performance-wise, this is very much a close-range weapon. The hop unit, for example, did not like semi-automatic as much as it liked full auto. It could be that it just needs a few rounds passing through it to bed it all in, but I found on fully automatic the hop unit worked a lot better. The effective range of this gun definitely seems to be around the 30 meter mark, maybe 35, 40 meters, and it's perfectly usable within that range. Now, you may be wondering why I'm thinking of using this as my new Airsoft sniper sidearm. The thing is, snipers are intended for long-range combat. At closer ranges, they tend to have a deficit in firepower. And of course, if a sniper's sneaking behind enemy lines, there is a good chance you are going to get into these really nasty close-range engagements. He's down. This is where snipers struggle. If you're against a sniper, the best thing you can do is close the gap, because if you get within your range, then they lose their range advantage. And especially if you get within the closer range, if they're armed with a pistol and you've got an assault rifle or a submachine gun, you have the firepower advantage. You can get a lot more rounds down range, and you can really pin them down, and it can be game over for them. So I wanted a weapon that at close ranges would level the playing field as a sniper. And the one thing about an airsoft sidearm that will give a sniper a massive advantage is fully automatic. For example, recently I got into an engagement with the 1911 and I took out 2 guys with it. However, if I had a fully automatic weapon, I could have sprayed them and probably got them in the same burst. And another thing with close range combat, especially for snipers, you want to make sure you confirm the kill. You want to make sure that they are dead. So a burst of fully automatic fire in close range, that takes them out. They can't argue they didn't feel it. It's violence of action. You've taken them out, and that's it. game over for them. However, I didn't want something that would just dump its mag in a second. I wanted something that you could effectively walk the shots onto target on full auto. And another criterion that was vital to me was that I wanted it to be reliable. Gas guns, unfortunately, aren't the most reliable. You get the cooldown on fully automatic, and in fact a lot of gas guns I've encountered are utter crap on full auto. And if the weather conditions are cold and windy and wet, you can find that gas guns are not reliable at all. Sometimes you won't even be able to finish the magazine, and you just can't have that for a close range secondary. You want something as reliable as possible that you can pick up and you know that it will fire when you need it. So this AEP, unlike a gas gun, should work even in the freezing cold, wet, miserable, muddy days with loads of wind. It will work perfectly fine. Now, another benefit of the Skorpion VZ61 is it's incredibly compact. Bearing in mind that this is a fully automatic AEG and it's not much larger than a gas blowback pistol. Of course, you have the magazine in the front, which complicates holsters, and I can't find a holster that will fit this yet that I like. However, I'm going to 3D print one which will lock onto the trigger guard. Need to design that though. Keep an eye out for that. I'll let you know how that goes. And having a stock that's stored out the way, which you can deploy very easily, that turns this gun into a nice little submachine gun, which allows you to have a very stable weapons platform. So if you're getting in a more prolonged engagement, it's worth deploying the stock so that way you've got a nice steady weapons platform so you can make the shots count. So in my opinion, the JG Skorpion VZ61 could be a very effective sniper sidearm, and I'm definitely going to be trying it out because in my mind this is a lot more versatile, and having that bit more firepower on tap, in my mind that will swing close range gunfights, which are notoriously nasty and costly. So if you've got something like this when you're sneaking around behind enemy lines, you should stand a better chance in my opinion. Now, I'd love to hear your opinions about this in the comments if you agree or disagree, and also let us know what guns you use for close range when you're sniping. And speaking of airsoft sniping, why don't you check out my review of the TM AWS L96 and why I think it's the best L96 you can find on the airsoft market.